England. Anybody here from England? What are you doing here?
Why aren't you working?
Right, are we all here yet? Well, here we are, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. You're here now on Tower Green for the 5th half of our guided tour. Tower Green, the village green, if you like, for the residents of the Tower of London. Now here in days of yore, after our hard day's work, the yeoman warders and their families could come here and take in the fresh air. Do a little bit of exercise. Conveniently placed almost in the centre of our recreation area is that there, the site of the private scaffold. Not to be confused with the public scaffold outside on Tower Hill. Out there, any Tom, Dick and Harry could be executed. Oh yes, anybody could come along and have a look, and they did in their thousands. But here, executions were carried out in complete privacy. You know, it was considered to be an honour and a privilege to die on this spot, so only the King's friends were to be executed here. It was such an honour and a privilege that only 6 people were executed here. 5 of them were women. What a load of male chauvinist pigs we really are. 3 of those women were Queens of England, but more about them later. First, a quick look at the layout of Tower Green. Now, in the bottom left-hand corner there, the entrance to the bloody tower. In the bottom right-hand corner, you see the finest Tudor building in the City of London. Now, we know this because all the rest were burnt down in the Great Fire of 1666. It was built under the orders of King Henry VIII as a wedding present for his beautiful second wife, Queen Anne Boleyn. But they never lived there before it was completed. They moved to a little place called Hampton Court. They therefore gave that building to the lieutenant of the tower as a lodging for himself and his more important prisoners. However, I love that word, I shall say it again. However, the first and most important prisoner was Queen Anne Boleyn herself. She was to spend the last 18 days of her tragic life a prisoner in that house prior to her execution on this spot here, as did Queen Catherine Howard, King Henry VIII's 5th wife. She also awaited her quick divorce in that house there. Ever heard of a fella called William Penn? Yep. No. Ever heard of a fella called William Penn?
Yes.
Now, wake up! I've never seen anything like it in all my life. Now, William Penn, the founder of one of our smaller colonies, Pennsylvania, thank you very much, sir. It's only this instant I realise there is another intellectual with us here today. Now, he was the founder of one of our smaller colonies called Pennsylvania, and he was a prisoner there for 5 months, during which time he wrote his famous book, No Cross, No Crown. And then as late as May 1941, Rudolf Hess, the deputy Führer of Nazi Germany, a prisoner there for 4 days during interrogation. Now, of course, it is the residence of the Governor of the Tower of London, a general in Her Majesty's forces, and here responsible to our Sovereign Lady for the security of the Tower of London and the Crown Jewels in particular. Observe the Queen's house carefully, ladies and gentlemen. And outside the Queen's house, you will see a soldier on guard wearing his red tunic, bearskin, and carrying his assault rifle. Now, you all know as well as I do that generals is notorious for not being able to look after themselves. So we have a soldier there to protect our general against double-glazing salesmen, insurance representatives, Avon ladies and Jehovah's Witnesses. Now the house is each side of the Queen's house, built specifically under the orders of King Henry VIII to house his cuddly yeoman warders, lovingly known as beef-eaters. And to this very day, the yeoman warders, lovingly known as beef-eaters, live here, their families, dogs, cats, parrots, and what have you. And one idiot's got his mother-in-law living with him. Now, that tower there, the Beauchamp Tower, another famous state prison wherein many famous prisoners were to be held. And over the years, they took the time to inscribe their names, coats of arms, and words of advice upon the walls therein. My colleague in there, who sleeps at the moment, you can wake him up and ask him for one of the forms there with all the inscriptions on. You can have a look round at all the inscriptions. Ah, it's good in it here, good. Please yourself. Oh, no. Now the house immediately behind me with the blue door and a lamp above it, just to show you how civilised we are. That's our resident doctor's house. Oh yes, we have our own doctor. He's in there right now, mixing his potions and his pills for the residents of the tower. If they don't work, we go next door. That's the chaplain's house. And here, of course, the Chapel Royal of St. Peter ad Vincula, built by a king, used by kings and queens, and now in this 20th century, used by the yeoman warders and the residents of the tower. That's I. And not particularly in that order either. We're human as well. So you could call this area here the hatch, match and dispatch department. You lot in that corner can think of your own jokes from now on, right? Now look, rather than talk about that chapel from here, I would like to invite you into that chapel for the 6th half of our guided tour, where I can tell you about that chapel, but mainly the story of the people who died on that spot. I want to tell you why they're executed, how they're executed. I'll even show you where they're buried. But I must remind you, ladies and gentlemen, it is a royal chapel and still in use to this very day. So please, treat it as you would your own religious houses back at home. Assist me by filling up all the seats from the front, and ladies, watch out for the step in the doorway. It's only that high, but it manages to supply all the work for our resident doctor and all the doctors over in Guy's Hospital. However, I love that word, I shall say it again, however, I shall be standing the other side of the door to catch any voluptuous wench should she show trip. Gentlemen, you'd have to shift for yourself. No filming or photographs inside the chapel until I finish my tour, please. My handsome colleague will drop the chain and let you through. Assist me by filling up all the seats from the front. Here we go. Step out smartly now.
Extra raven.
Still they come. I must be good today. Come on, there's down the seats on the left. Well, there's 1 or 2 seats on the left here. That's right, that's for the choir. You're not allowed beyond these roads, you see. The vicar here, who's a bit of a vicar, he gets very annoyed then. Look, you keep quiet on the floor. Oh. About 60 cups of tea. Now, hands up those who want sugar and milk. Too many, cancel it. Sit yourself down, my dear. Most without coffins at all. They were quickly bedded without any kind of ceremony, in show of praise, beneath the very flagstones that you're sitting and standing upon now. Indeed, Lord McCord wrote about this chapel and he said, "In truth, there is no sadder spot on earth." Well, as my story unfolds, we begin to realise exactly what he was talking about. There's been a chapel here since 1105. It was destroyed by fire in the reign of King Henry VIII. Now, he caused it to be rebuilt in its present form. The windows, the arches and the Spanish chestnut roof are pure Tudor. But alas, the royals were to leave the Tower of London. This chapel was therefore allowed to fall into a state of disrepair. The only people that used it were the prisoners of the Tower. Here they would come, tired, bleeding, ragged, emaciated. Here they would come to pray to God before meeting their executioners in various parts of the city, knowing full well that in the end they'd be brought back here. And then, with only the rude hands of the grave diggers to see them on their way. In 1876, Queen Victoria, having read Lord McCorde's report on this chapel, decided to come and have a look for herself. She was deeply shocked and appalled at the condition of this once beautiful royal chapel. On the spot, she ordered a royal commission, a commission to bring this chapel back to its former glory, but at the same time, the commission was to exhume all those who were buried beneath its floor, identify them wherever possible, and then give them a proper Christian burial. Well, here was a task that took well over 3 years of hard, delicate, dedicated work. In those 3 years, ladies and gentlemen, the commission found, buried beneath its floor, over 1,500 remains. Of those 1,500, I'm afraid that only 33 were positively identified. There were places to lead-lined caskets and buried with due honour in the crypt, but the people buried beneath the altar, now they were exhumed for identification purposes only, and then reinterred where they originally lay. Beneath the altar we found the following: James Scott, the Duke of Monmouth, Queen Anne Boleyn, Queen Catherine Howard, Lady Jane Grey, Lord Guildford, the Dukes of Northumberland, Norfolk and Suffolk, Margaret Countess of Salisbury, James Viscount of Norfolk, Sir Thomas of Overbury, and last but by no means least, Robert Devereux, the Earl of Essex. All these famous people whom I read about during those boring history lessons at school are here, buried beneath the altar. Now, why here in this quiet little chapel, away from the eyes of the commonweal? Well, we know. Most of them died in this strait, either outside on Tower Hill on the public scaffold, or here on Tower Green on the private scaffold. Don't get it mixed up. Out there on Tower Hill, we had a permanent scaffold in continuous use almost every day for nigh on 400 years. But here on Tower Green, we had no scaffold. For each execution, we erected one. after the execution, it was taken down and burnt. And the first time he erected a scaffold here on Tower Green was in 1536 for the execution of a queen, Queen Anne Boleyn, the second wife of King Henry VIII, accused of misconduct, witchcraft and various other crimes, although today most of us believe that she was guilty of no crime whatsoever. A convenient way of getting rid of a troublesome wife. As a special favour for her, she was allowed to be executed in the French fashion, that is with a sword, as opposed to the block and the axe. Now the High Executioner of St. Omer in France, a man who had already become a legend in his own lifetime for his skill with the sword, well, he was appointed to carry out his office here. When he eventually arrived here, he grew to be a big man. On his shoulder he carried a 15-pound double-edged two-handed sword, and with one blow from that mighty sword, completely severed her head from her little neck. 5 years later, in 1541, we erected the scaffold again on Tower Green for the execution of a grand old lady of well over 70 years of age, Margaret Pole, the Countess of Salisbury. A lady who had committed no crime, she didn't even have a trial. She was the last of the Plantagenet family, a great aunt of King Henry VIII himself, but she was also the mother of Cardinal Reginald Pole. Reginald Pole was a dedicated enemy of the king and safely tucked away in Europe, preaching against the king. And of course, King Henry VIII heard all about it. So he invited Reginald Pole to come back to this country and stand trial for high treason. Reginald Pole, of course, politely refused the king's generous offer. But his mother was therefore to pay a terrible price. On the scaffold here, this dear lady refused to place her head upon the block. She stated that she was no traitor to her king or her country, and indeed she wasn't. The executioner was young and inexperienced. He literally hacked her to death where she stood. A very brave and gallant lady indeed. The following year, in 1542, we witnessed 2 executions. Again ladies, again a queen. Queen Catherine Howard, the youngest and most beautiful of all King Henry VIII's wives. She'd had several affairs at court. She'd danced rather too long with a gentleman at court known as Thomas Culpeper, an affair which was to prove to be her undoing. And on the scaffold here she said to the executioner, "I'd die the Queen of England, for I would prefer to die the wife of Thomas Culpeper." A lady-in-waiting, Jane, Viscountess of Rochford, was dragged screaming to the block before the blood had even dried, where she herself was beheaded. She'd laid on the visits between each lover. She knew exactly what was going on, but failed to report the matter to her master, the king. Therefore, she herself had committed treason against the king's person. As for Culpeper, the alleged lover, well, he was placed upon a hurdle here and dragged behind a horse from here all the way up to Tyburn, where it was hanged, disemboweled while still alive, beheaded, and then quartered. Tyburn, of course, today is known as Marble Arch. Well, it will be 12 long years. And then in 1554, the blade was to bite into the slender neck of a 16-year-old girl, Lady Jane Grey, a pawn in the struggle for power. She had a father and a father-in-law who were both corrupt and burning with ambition. They tried to place Jane upon the throne of England in place of the legal heir Queen Mary Tudor. Should they succeed, they would have been the power behind the throne. And they almost did it. Jane was a queen for 9 days, but in the end, failure. The price of failure, the block and the axe. The last person executed here on Tower Green was a man. That man was Robert Devereux, the Earl of Essex. The year was 1601. Robert Devereux was 33 years of age. Soldier, sailor, courtier and statesman. He wasn't much good at any of them, but he was a very handsome young man. So, consequently, he was the favourite of Queen Elizabeth I. The Queen could forgive almost anything to her favourites except one thing. And there was one thing that Tudor would never forgive or forget: treason, plotting against the crown. Robert Devereux, the Earl of Essex, was to become the centre of many plots against the crown. And in the end, he was arrested, tried for treason, found guilty and then sentenced to a traitor's death. That was to be hanged, disemboweled while still alive, beheaded and then quartered. But because he was a favourite of the Queen relented and forgave him. She forgave him. The fickleness of women. I know all about women, so I bet he nearly married one. She forgave him and allowed him the honour and the privilege have been executed in private on Tower Green. Now, wasn't that nice of her? It was generous, really. But all you folk who are looking through these guidance tabs again, it's this one, there was a much earlier execution in the year 1483. The victim was Lord Hastings. And Lord Hastings, after being accused of treason, had a violent argument with Richard, Duke of Gloucester, in the council chamber of the White Tower. And without any trial, without even being shriven by a priest, Hastings was dragged down the steps of the White Tower, brought out to the Tower Green here somewhere, where his head was hacked off on the first block of wood that could be found. So there you have it. Outside, I've told you there were 6 executions. You count Lord Hastings, you could say there were 7 executions on Tower Green. Now, having dealt with the grisly side of the job, let's have a quick look at the layout. In the bottom left-hand corner there is the John Holland tomb. John Holland, the Duke of Exeter, going back to King and the Singapore, Concorde of the Tower of London, and the Earl of Huntingdon. Now, he was a very famous soldier. He had the distinction of fighting alongside King Henry V at the Battle of Agincourt. In there are the remains of himself, his first and his third wife. Nobody knows what happened to his second wife. I'm a bit careless of wives, you know. In the centre here we have a lovely little tomb. This is the Richard Cholmondeley tomb. Now, Richard Cholmondeley was the lieutenant of the Tower in the reign of King Henry VIII. He loved this chapel, did Cholmondeley. He and his lady used to come here every day to pray, and they both decided that when they died, they would like to be buried here. So they ordered the construction of this magnificent tomb for themselves. When it was completed, they used to come here to pray, and then look at their last resting place together. Isn't that romantic? Whoever said Englishmen were not romantic? I find that very romantic. He got the sack. He lived, died, and he was buried elsewhere. That's empty. Anybody interested? Vacant possession. What about you, sir? Vacant possession. You want to leave it a few years up? When you think of it, that is the complete reverse to counting your chickens before they're hatched. Think about it. On the north wall there, the least like memorial in this chapel is a memorial to the young warders of the Tower of London. I don't like it very much because I know that one of these days my name is going to go on that wall and I won't be around to read it. Incidentally, the date alongside the name is not the date the yeoman warder died, but the date he was sworn in as a yeoman warder. It appears that the powers that be here believe you haven't lived unless you've been sworn in as a yeoman warder here at the Tower of London. Have I got news for them? And look at that, for a nice morale booster, a nice new one standing alongside it, empty. I put up the right-hand column, bottom edge. Here you see one of the oldest organs in the City of London. It was built by Father Bernard Smith, maker of the King's Beauty. He completed the organ in 1699. The carvings you see there of flowers and cherubs, they were put there by Grinling Gibbons, a very famous artist. Now, a lot of Grinling Gibbons' work can be seen at Westminster, and also, incidentally, in the White Tower itself. Some of the horses and heads were carved by the same artist. Now, if you want to hear this organ being played, and you're going to Buckley Hour on Sunday, come to our service if you so wish. The timings are posted on the front gate, and you'll be quite welcome to enter the Tower of London free to join prayer with the yeoman warders and their families. You'll enjoy that, won't you? Yeah. Oh, you won't? All right. And you'll also hear this organ, and you'll hear the best choir in the City of London.
Which will be the Welsh choir.
The Welsh choir?
No, the Royal.
The Royal, they are the Royal Choir. I didn't know that. They are bright girls from New Zealand, aren't they? On the left side of the altar is the most expensive monument in this chapel, the Blount Memorial, named after Sir Richard and Sir Michael Blount, who were father and son and both lieutenants of the Tower in the reign of Queen Elizabeth I. You folks on the left, when I've finished, come out this way and have a quick look at it on the way out. It's a beautiful piece of Renaissance. The only trouble is, part of the decor contains 2 human skulls. Now that's the most expensive monument. Let me show you the cheapest. Here it is. The cheapest monument we have here is this here. A little gravestone embedded into the wall here. It's a gravestone of a man called Talbot Edwards. Who's Talbot Edwards, I hear you all say? Talbot Edwards, Keeper of the Crown Jewels and Royal Regalia in the reign of King Charles II. He was the man who prevented Colonel Thomas Blood from stealing the Crown Jewels in 1671. With a cry of treason, the crown is stolen. Now that's almost as famous as saying, there's trouble at mill. Do you know, we found her outside in 1876 propping up a chicken pen. What Christ loyalty! So they had it brought in here, embedded into this wall, So the future generations that come here could look at it and say, here, here's Talbot Edwardstown, and we could tell them. 900 years of history in an hour. It's impossible, ladies and gentlemen. All I've done really is just scratch the surface and whetted your appetite. Now there must be hundreds, possibly thousands of questions that remain unanswered. In a few moments, when I've finished, I shall be standing at the door saying farewell to you, which of course is my duty. Please do not ask me any questions. But outside there are 24 of my colleagues, all strategically placed, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, waiting to answer any questions you may have. So please reserve your questions until then. But before we leave, please allow me to give you yet another friendly reminder about pickpockets. No matter where we go today in this world, there's always somebody around with more purpose in mind, and that, of course, is a deal from you. So please watch out for valuable repair you may be. And in particular, you've got to be paid for something. That's when you put your wallet, billfold, bottle, coat, purse, and all that sort of way, and the pickpocket or your friends knows exactly where you keep your valuables. So please don't do it. Now, I may leave you now with my favourite expression. My favourite expression is this. No. A smile is a curse that makes everything straight. Thank you.
Incredible place, huh? These people used to chop heads off, like forget about it, you know. Off the Road, Kent Regiment. 18. Is that what they're doing? Yes, definitely. This guy's with a beheaded queen's, Henry VIII's couple of wives, and Anne Boleyn, she was Henry VIII's wife, and this is the Tower Bridge from London, the Tower of London. Just a little bit walk away. Bloody Tower. White Tower. So this is the Jewel House? You want to go see the jewels? What time is it?
Again, was right here under the arm.
It was the only place. half armor
Because the other half got cut off.
for the foot tournaments. You want to go upstairs? There's other suits of armor. Henry VIII's armor I'd like to see.
All right.
Where's the steps?
I think they're over here.
Did we see everything in here? There's steps going upstairs? Henry VIII's armor, is it correct? Thank you, sir. Oh, look at this. Did we see this? Oh. So it's interesting. Is this the actual Tower of London that we're in? The original tower? Original tower. They chopped everybody in the world's head off here. They killed people wholesale. Look at this lance that he was carrying. Incredible.
610. 610?
I guess it was the way these guys are set up here, the guy that got the first shot in won. You know? That's when you had to look fancy. This is parade armor. More suits of armor. And more suits of armor. The armor of the Earl of Southampton. Come, let's head upstairs. This is original. Oh, here's a party. Walking up these steps was so difficult. Halfway up, you had to take a leak. There you go. Anyway, right here. Your basic latrine without the electric light.
Oh boy.
Piss down the hole.
This one has a poopy protector.
That's Henry VIII.
We had some said.
Was ist das für ein Bomber hier? Ich wollte eigentlich runter.
Tell you something. Oh yeah.
Yeah, we should go crazy.
Where are we going now?
Bathroom.
Is this the fun part of the trip?
Fun part.
Okay, it's time to go to the potty.
Potty time.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Martin Tower.
Well, now where?
Well, we have.
We didn't get up on the parapets, Ma. We gotta get up on the
We'll
parapets.
go get parroted.
Watch your step. Boy, no wonder this thing. They had like 8 million places. They wanted to lose somebody. They could lose them big time, you know? That, there's the new armory. Yeah, we'll take a quick walk through. Oh, that goes right over the London Bridge. Oh, it's closed. British Military Armory, 18th, 19th century. I don't know how much time to spend from here. Hi. How you feeling?
Terrible.
Terrible. What's the matter?
I had a cold.
Cold. Better than German measles.
Actually, it was a German sore throat. It's an English cold.
Oh. Are we going home on the Concorde again?
Again.
Again. Okay. We're going to be in New York in a couple hours?
3.5, I think.
Yeah? Okay.
See ya.
This is the lounge. Want a drink? Let me, I'm going. I thought that the nose moved. It's only that shield that comes up in front of the windshield.
Yeah,
I guess in the earlier models, the nose dipped up and down.
I think it did.
Did she change it?
No, they were gone. I don't know. Somehow one had them, the other one didn't.
So where are we going now?
To the same seats we had. Just. Bye. You want me to carry that? I got a hand.
Get out here now.
what's happened is,
airborne, we reduce the power and cut the reheats. You'll find it's quite noticeable in the cabin. There's an alteration in the noise level and the pitch angle. It's all normal. It's just part of our noise abatement technique to reduce the disturbance to the residents around Heathrow. Expect to be getting airborne in a few minutes now, about 3 aircraft ahead of us.
okay if I shoot some pictures?
Something overcoming. The bad news is it's either canopy or blue or something red. The canopy direction. Yeah.
The windshield's in the up position?
Dusting as well.
How long before we land?
Just under an hour.
And your name?
Bill Johnston.
Hi, I'm Shel Reinish. How you doing?